The Credit Show podcast with Harry Jacobs starts now.
Let's talk about the government jumping behind consumers with their credit in a huge way. Experian, one of the three major credit bureaus, is in the sights of regulators, to the point where they have filed a lawsuit, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, or the CFPB, and this is a big deal, so let's get into it. Now, we all know how important credit reports are. They're basically a financial report card that lenders, landlords, and even potential employers use to judge your creditworthiness. You probably know this, but a single mistake on your report can seriously mess things up. These errors can cause loan denials, higher interest rates when you are approved. You can run into trouble renting an apartment or place to live, you name it. That's why it's crucial that these reports are accurate, and when there's an error, that it gets fixed quickly. That's where the dispute process comes in. If you find an error on your credit report, you have the right to dispute it with the credit bureau. They're legally obligated to investigate and correct the mistake. I'm probably not telling you anything you don't already know, but that's the deal. That seems simple enough, right? You would think so. Well, according to the CFPB, Experian hasn't been holding up their end of the bargain. So the CFPB just hit Experian with a lawsuit alleging that they've been unlawfully failing to properly investigate consumer disputes. Understand that this isn't just a minor slip-up. The CFPB is accusing Experian of some pretty serious violations of the Fair Credit Reporting Act, or the FCRA. This is the federal law that governs how credit reporting agencies operate. First thing they are accused of is failing to conduct reasonable investigations. The CFPB claims that Experian often just rubber-stamp disputes without actually looking into them. They rely on automated processes that didn't really dig into the details of the consumer's claim. I will tell you something I remember from years ago that was just horrifying to me at the time I saw it. Steve Croft from 60 Minutes did a piece on Experian. He interviewed a group of former employees, and the thing that has stuck with me all these years later is that Experian doesn't have humans opening their mail. It's all automated, even back in 2012 when the report came out. Letters aren't read by humans either. Experian's system scans them and they give them a code and go from there. It's pretty crazy. Next, the CFPB is accusing them of failing to forward all relevant information to furnishers. Here's what that means. When you dispute an item, the credit bureau is supposed to forward all the information you provide to the company that originally reported the information, the furnisher. The CFPB alleges that Experian often failed to do this, hindering the investigation process or not investigating at all. And the last thing they are accused of is failing to notify consumers of the results of investigations. After investigating a dispute, the credit bureau is required to notify the consumer of the results. The CFPB claims that Experian sometimes failed to do this, leaving consumers in the dark about the status of their disputes. These are all serious allegations. If true, it means that Experian has been potentially harming consumers by not properly addressing errors on their credit reports. Think about it. Someone could have a legitimate mistake on their report, dispute it in good faith, and then Experian just brushes it off without actually doing their job. This can have huge consequences for that person's financial life. Now, it's important to remember that these are allegations at this point. Experian has the opportunity to respond and defend themselves in court. But the fact that the CFPB has filed this lawsuit speaks volumes. It shows that they're taking credit reporting accuracy very seriously and are willing to hold these big companies accountable. So what does this mean for you and I? Well, it certainly reinforces the importance of checking your credit reports regularly. You can get free copies of your reports from annualcreditreport.com. It's crucial to catch any errors early on. And if you do find a mistake, don't hesitate to dispute it. This suit also highlights the power of consumer protection agencies like the CFPB. They're out there working to ensure that companies are playing by the rules and protecting consumers' rights. This case sends a clear message that credit bureaus can't just ignore consumer disputes. They have a legal obligation to investigate them thoroughly and fairly. This is a developing story, so we'll be keeping an eye on it and bringing you updates as they come. In the meantime, remember to check your credit reports, know your rights, and don't be afraid to speak up and reach out to me directly if you find something wrong.
You've been listening to the Credit Show podcast with Harry Jacobs. If you need assistance with your credit, text CREDIT to 702 778 2000.